My Adventures with Superman was one of my favorite shows from last year. It came out during a time where a lot of Superman news was breaking. Superman was a whole vibe around that time, so that was really translated to the show, I feel. I had a great time following it from week to week, reviewing it, and one of the great things about a show like that is that it's good to the point. It compels you to read the comics just so you can learn that much more about these characters that you're so thoroughly compelled by on screen. It gave me a great excuse to shift my focus to primarily reading Superman books, and hopefully the show got other people to do the same. The show was super entertaining, action and story-wise, much thanks to the legendary Studio Mir, which is on such a tear right now. It's such a blessed year for animated television, but also the writing for these characters was at a level that gave them enough depth as well as complexity to care about them, that felt authentic and relevant for the times without losing maybe some of the cheese or charm of these characters from the comics. You really can just have a nice balance. But after watching the double episode premiere of season 2 and having to shit copious amounts of blood to speedrun the editing for this video, since this show used to come out on Fridays, giving me a reasonable time period to make these videos in, but now it just has to release on Sunday, the day your boy typically uploads, the day he has the most free time in the week, the day he was finally locking in on and dropping videos at a reasonable time. Well, I guess life is truly a bitch. But wanna know something, players? My Adventures with Superman, season 2, episode 1 and 2, to quote the great American philosopher Lil Tunechi, well, it happens to be more badder than a bitch. So episode 1 picks up a couple months after the last season. What with it being Valentine's Day now, Clark has, like any true Sigma, terrifying and traumatic nightmares that wake him up in a abrupt cold sweat. But it was all essentially a premonition for the remainder of the episode, which is centered around the Kryptonian ship from last season crashing back down to Earth in Antarctica. Perry White needs a story because Vicky Vale is shitting on the Daily Planet with her work, and so this is what leads Lois to Antarctica to get the scoop on what they still think is a meteor. And new big baller Jimmy Olsen pays for everyone to get there comfortably. Once there, Clark sees Jor-El's ghost, which leads him to the ship, and it has since picked up English and lets him know who he is, what happened to Krypton, and that his cousin Kara should be on Earth with him too. Lois and Jimmy find their way into the ship but are met with Task Force X as Amanda Waller wants first dibs on all the alien tech. Lois has been trying to reach her father for some time to no avail, but she knows now it's because Waller had him held captive. Superman fights, albeit briefly damaged, but they are both quickly dismantled by the Kryptonite core, which Waller takes notice of. The skirmish ends with Jor-El teleporting Team Supes along with the ship away, and we get our first look at the Fortress of Solitude. Hyper magnificent. We get an incredible make a grown man cry type scene, literally, with Jor-El's ghost letting Clark know he's proud of him and the man he's become while slowly fading away. Jealous much? The episode ends with Lois asking Clark to help rescue her father from Waller, and just them being so adorable and great together. I'm so happy for them. Waller leaving with some kryptonite and a tease for Zod. Although the action I felt was lacking in this one, the animation was still top notch, super clean, the story was compelling, it had a very good pace, and the emotions were on point, so I really enjoyed myself. Going into episode 2, we see an Amanda Waller morning, getting her self-affirmations in. I know all about those, cooking it up in the kitchen and seeing the facility she is keeping General Lane in. Lois is plotting on how she'll get her dad back, and Clark is just about to tell her about Kara when they get interrupted by a kid whose father went missing and needs them to tell Superman to look into it. Jimmy is held up after Perry says he actually needs to do his job and run the Flamebird division, and gets assigned the News Kid Legion and Steve Lombard. People on equal mental footing. Clark and Lois go to Stryker's Island to investigate the disappearance and find an unlocked part of the map to explore. Clark finds the beacon that will help him locate Kara and finally breaks that news to Lois, which she is seemingly not very enthusiastic about, with good reason though, because of all the different evil Superman she saw in the multiverse episode and all the trouble that was caused by Kryptonian tech last season. However, this is legit Clark's only remaining relative, so it's just adding to the drama and complexity of it all. Waller tries to interrogate General Lane, but he is very clearly one step ahead of her, what with knowing about all the goings on of Antarctica and then some. He said, "You can keep me here, but I'll always know what's going on, and if I don't, I'll just read it on your face." I would have gone straight to the polar bear pit personally if I was Waller, so she ups the stakes by using her Amanda Waller special universal filler move and threatens the daughter. When she leaves, Lois and Clark come through and Operation Prison Break commences. Sam is reluctant though, as he had a plan and is pushing back, which causes friction between him and Supes, and so that leads to friction with Lois. Waller does eventually catch on and up to the escape, and we get introduced to the newest metahuman on the scene, the Atomic Skull. First off, I think think my introduction to this character was Superman vs. the Elite, the movie, and I just thought he was so badass there. I always liked the Atomic Skull design. A skull on fire is just, I think, universally badass. As well, the show's design is fucking cool as well. Love the fluorescent green and yellow incorporated into the design from the original Skull Albert Michaels color scheme, and the armor looks dope too. Plus, in action, the way the power is animated is super dynamic. This version of the Skull is Joseph Martin. From what I read, which just like the first Skull wasn't really much, but as soon as I heard he'd be in the show, I started reading more on this iteration, and he was basically like this film bro dude who had the metagene, and after he escaped a collapse and got zapped like crazy, he started to take on the appearance of one of his favorite movie characters. I'm sure this is somebody on Twitter's wet dream, but he's primarily found in like 90s Adventures with Superman and Action Comics, and then after that he's kind of just sprinkled throughout. Supes gets Lois and the General out of their way, and they crash into a place where the boy's father from the beginning was being held captive along with many other missing inmates that were being experimented on, and it seems this was one of the things General Lane was not aware of, as he's in shock of what he finds out Waller is truly capable of. So we're getting to the humanity of General Lane here. He's not all bad, and so Atomic Skull and Supes have their fight. I will say we've been getting spoiled with X-Men 97 in the sense that besides the animation being by the same studio and the animation being very clean throughout, the choreography I find with X-Men 97 is much better. It could just be because we have like 5 different types of power sets being displayed each episode for X-Men 97, and with Superman, you know, it's not, I think, as calculated, but I must say the choreography is not hitting the same. It's still exciting enough with Superman being able to dismantle the Atomic Skull and then grab the beacon. Jimmy comes through with the boat just in time to get everyone off the island, and the plan going forward is for Sam to lay low at Clark's place. That's the power of a tan woman with a pixie cut. The cliffhanger being Lex Luthor getting hired by Waller for Task Force X. Shit is about to heat up with that. Overall, again, the action wasn't too crazy, but the animation was really clean, and the drama they build with Lois potentially not wanting Clark to find Kara, and then with Sam hating Clark and now having to live with him, as well as Lex coming into the fold with Zod and Brainiac looming in the background. It's all very entertaining. I'm excited for next week's episode. I might continue reviewing this show week to week unless something big comes up. I'll probably do a Boys Season 4 premiere video, so maybe even just with both shows, I'll do like a beginning, middle, finale video for them. I do want to make some videos actually reviewing more comics. I've been feeling like making a Lanterns video for a minute, locking in to finish Jeff Johns' run finally, and what better timing. So if I can find the time, I will sprinkle that in as well. Overall, I had a great time seeing this crew again. The animation can be quite stunning. The romance truly is super cute, and I am eager to see this season play out. So that is why I'm giving the My Adventures with Superman Season 2 premiere a fluctuating 7.5 to 8 out of 10. But let me know what y'all thought of it, players. Curious who's the person Waller is talking to on the phone. My guess is it's someone with Checkmate that I will have to read more up on. I'm interested to see Lex's progression into the person we all know he'll eventually become, and I'm excited to see Kara come through. I wonder how she'll factor into the dynamic of the crew. I actually just started on her run from 2005, and that shit is fucking wild. But that's pretty much it. If you guys like the video, leave me a thumbs up, comment down below, and if you want, subscribe. I always appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope all of you guys are well, and I will see you in the next one.